All right, guys, welcome back to Jerk Block Talk, the show about making better coaches. I am Jason Fernandez. We are here at CrossFit Rife. Big shout out to CrossFit New England. Thanks for the shirt, Jeff. Today, the topic is going to be about owning the space. So let me elaborate a little bit about what I'm talking about here. So one of the questions we get pretty frequently when we teach level 1 is, how do you make sure, or how do you manage seeing a lot of different movement within the class? And there's a couple different ways to kind of tackle that, or skin that cat, if you will. And we're not going to talk today about like cueing or anything about that. What I'm going to talk about today is putting yourself in the right position to set yourself up for success. So for today in this class, Cassidy's got a pretty big class, and what you're going to notice, we're going to get a couple different shots of Cassidy while he's doing this, but if you are one of these folks that just kind of stands around and watches people during the class, here's the deal. That is not coaching, okay? So stop doing that. Stop doing that. What I want you to think about is, you should always be thinking, how long have I been standing in this spot? And if it's for more than about, 15 to 20 seconds, you need to move, right? So if any of you have been in level 1 or you've been around a coach that's pretty good, one of the things they're going to talk about all the time is put yourself in a good position to see the movement. Most of you are aware, but if you're not, here's a little gem for you. The best place to see most of the movement, or most of the things that you need to see in the movement to determine whether it's good or bad, is 45 degrees to 90. So in a class like this, when we have 15 people in the class, guess what? There's not one spot that I can stand and see all of the movement. So if you're not moving around systematically, kind of how we talked about in a previous movement about our previous video on strength days, that needs to be always a thought in your mind. Am I moving around to find myself in a position to see movement no matter what is going on, no matter what I'm doing, no matter how many athletes are in the class? One of the videos that we'll do later is we'll do kind of a shot down on one of the classes, and we'll put it in fast forward, and I'll do a little talk on, and I'll do a voiceover on that about movement through the class and how to do that. But what you're going to notice here in a minute, once Cassidy gets started, is he's going to be moving all the time to find himself in the best position to see an athlete move. You can systematically do that. You can just have a running clock in your head that says, hey, I need to move this. I've been standing here too long. But what I see a lot of new coaches do, almost all the interns that we have here, all the new coaches do this. They get caught in this little force field where they don't move at all. They get stuck in a 4x6 box, and they're just watching the class, and they end up coaching by just turning their head left and right. That is, you're setting yourself up for failure. So if you are not actively thinking about moving, covering as much square footage in the class while people are moving, you're wrong, okay? Try harder, be better when it comes to that stuff. But it has to be an active thought in your mind. It's not something for, until you really make it a habit, it's not something that's just gonna happen. You need to constantly be thinking about, like, how long have I been standing in this spot? Can I see all the things that I need to see? And here's the deal, there's no one place to stand in order to see all of the movement, which then leads itself to, you have to keep constantly moving to see the movement. So in just a second here, we're gonna start this class, and we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 athletes in here, I think, is the count. That's going to require a lot of movement, especially for new coaches, okay? For new coaches, you should kind of have a lot of anxiety when you have some of these bigger classes, but a lot of that can be relieved by moving around a lot, and that gives you opportunity to work with one athlete here, and then I can move over here. And then one thing you can do, and we'll talk about this in another video later down the road, is you can set yourself up in a position where I can look down a line of athletes to look at different faults that are going on and address those systematically. I can be watching athlete A right in front of me, but also catching something out of the side of my eye on athlete B that's behind them. And I'll keep that in the back of my mind and then move on to athlete B once I'm finished working with athlete A. But the key here, and what we'll do is once this start, we'll probably cut and then come back to it. But what we're going to watch is we're just going to watch Cassidy move for about 30 to 40 seconds. And Cassidy does a good job with this, so I think he'll do it well here. But the point is to keep moving, keep moving, keep moving, keep moving. Okay, cool. And then Connor, we'll cut from this point right now, and then we'll add in here in just a second. All right, guys. So if we're just going to watch Cassidy here, you're going to notice that he's going to kind of probably make a loop here, I'm going to guess, but probably going to make his way around, looking at different athletes as he's going around the class, but he's constantly kind of weaving in and out to make sure that he can see and he's getting different angles on movement. Again, this can be systematic, or you can just kind of free flow it and just get in the habit of just moving. But what you'll find is when you start moving around a lot, suddenly you're going to start seeing a lot more stuff, right? So if I'm constantly putting myself in a position to see movement, guess what's going to happen? I'm probably going to fucking see movement, right? So make that your goal in your next couple of classes as you go forward. That should be what's going on in your mind. Am I moving? Am I moving? Am I moving? And am I constantly getting that 45 to 90 degree angle on the athletes in the class? So if there's 13 athletes in this class, that's a lot of moving around, and then they all have 3 movements. So if I was to get everybody once on every movement, you're talking about 39 different angles is what I'm looking at here. So I just did some real hot public math there. I think that was pretty good, Josh. So again, the key here is moving. So we've been watching Cassidy for about 30 seconds. He's come in and looped around and made his way back over there. Looks like he's going over there. And one thing you have to be conscious of is, and this happens to a lot of people, there ends up being like some spot on the floor that you just for whatever reason neglect. It's not because you don't like everybody over there, but it's just because like you create these habits based on your gym and where you're comfortable. So videotape yourself, find out what parts of the floor you're not covering, and then come up with another plan to do that, okay? So again, are you owning the space when you're teaching class? If you're not owning the space, make that your priority. Again, if you want to see movement, you have to be in the position to see the movement, which requires you to move around a lot. If you're not tired after a class, guys, especially one that's busy and stuff like this, you're wrong, okay? So be better, do better, and you make better athletes that way. If you have any questions, please put them in the comments so that we can address that stuff. Please like the YouTube channel, and we'll see you next time in Jerk Block Talk, guys. Thanks.